Letting go to grow begins not with a conscious decision, but with the painful, undeniable realization that what you're clinging to is slowly, inexorably, suffocating your soul. We spend so much of our lives meticulously constructing narratives, building identities, and fiercely clutching to what is familiar, what feels safe, even when that familiarity has become a cage, and that safety, a gilded prison. We hold on to old wounds like precious relics, replaying past grievances with a meticulous, almost ritualistic devotion. We cling to outdated versions of ourselves, to dreams that no longer resonate, to relationships that drain us, to beliefs that limit us, simply because the act of letting go feels like a death, a terrifying leap into an unknown abyss. We fear the emptiness, the void that will be left behind, mistaking it for annihilation rather than recognizing its profound potential as fertile ground for something entirely new, something breathtakingly authentic, something infinitely more expansive. And then, inevitably, life intervenes. A seismic shift, a profound loss, a searing betrayal, a deep disappointment, or simply the relentless, quiet erosion of joy within our spirit forces our hand. We are brought to our knees, not by external forces, but by the undeniable, internal truth that the very things we're desperately clinging to are precisely what are preventing our evolution, our liberation, our very breath. The uncomfortable truth is, you cannot carry the weight of yesterday's burdens and simultaneously reach for the promise of tomorrow's boundless possibilities. The hands that are white-knuckled in their grip on the past cannot simultaneously be open to receive the extraordinary gifts that the present and future are so patiently waiting to bestow upon you. This isn't about forgetting, about denying your history, or the profound pain you've endured. It's about a radical, courageous act of spiritual alchemy, transforming the weight of what was into the undeniable momentum for what can be. It's recognizing that the very act of surrendering, of releasing your desperate grip, is not a defeat, but the most profound victory, a revolutionary act of self-compassion, an audacious declaration of self-trust, and the indisputable first step on the path to genuine, transformative growth. This profound, often painful, yet ultimately liberating process of shedding the old, like a snake shedding its skin, begins with a radical shift in mindset. The mindset with which you approach the inevitable necessity of releasing your grip on what was, on what no longer serves you, is not merely a philosophical inclination. It is the absolute fulcrum upon which your future hinges, the decisive factor in whether you remain eternally bound by the past or courageously step into an expansive, authentic, and truly liberated existence. We are conditioned from childhood to accumulate, to hold on, to build, to possess, to define ourselves by what we have or what we cling to. When something is lost or must be released, whether it's a person, a dream, an identity, a job, or even a deeply ingrained belief, the immediate, almost automatic response is often profound grief, overwhelming fear, a sense of debilitating emptiness, or a frantic, desperate attempt to reclaim what has slipped through our fingers. This attachment, while seemingly a source of comfort and security, can transform into an insidious anchor, relentlessly dragging us backward, preventing any forward motion, any true, vital growth. It keeps us tethered to narratives of what was, endlessly replaying the script of disappointment and loss, rather than courageously stepping into the boundless potential of what can be, once the old chapters are genuinely closed. But what if we could radically reframe that moment of necessary release, that searing agony of letting go, not as a final, crushing condemnation, but as an undeniable, often painful, yet profoundly necessary call to awaken? What if it's the universe, in its infinite wisdom, screaming, "Pay attention. This attachment, this old story, this outdated paradigm, is no longer serving your highest good. It's time to find a new way, to create new space." This is the very essence of Napoleon Hill's timeless, empowering philosophy, reimagined for the modern soul. Every adversity, no matter how profound, every heartbreak, no matter how deep, every necessary letting go, no matter how agonizing, carries within its very core the undeniable seed of an equivalent or even greater benefit, a powerful, transformative opportunity to grow beyond your previous limitations. It demands an active, proactive stance, a deliberate, conscious choice to shift from passively allowing circumstances to dictate your emotional reality, to actively, powerfully shaping your internal narrative, your interpretation of events, and ultimately, your emotional landscape. When you are confronted with the undeniable truth that something must be released for your authentic growth, the first, almost involuntary instinct is often profound resistance, a desperate clinging, a frantic search for blame, or an irrational justification for holding on. But precisely this moment of profound discomfort, is when you must exercise your most potent, most revolutionary power, the power of conscious choice over your thoughts, your reactions, and your interpretations. You cannot always choose your circumstances. Life will inevitably throw curveballs, storms, and devastating losses your way, forcing releases you didn't anticipate. But you always, unequivocally, retain the power to choose your response to those circumstances, to choose how you interpret the act of letting go. This isn't about forced positivity, a saccharine denial of valid pain, or the legitimate difficulty of release. It's about radical realism, a profound engagement with your current reality, however uncomfortable it may be. It's about bravely acknowledging the searing pain of separation, the immense grief, the paralyzing fear of the unknown that accompanies every genuine release, and then, with profound self-compassion and conscious intent, asking yourself, with genuine curiosity, what space is this opening up within me? What new possibilities are now available that were obscured by my tight grip? How can this agonizing experience of letting go forge me into something demonstrably stronger, infinitely wiser, profoundly more capable, and deeply more empathetic? This requires a deliberate, consistent, daily practice of auditing your thoughts, relentlessly challenging the self-defeating, often automatic narratives that surface and threaten to consume you when you're attempting to release something. Are you telling yourself you're losing everything? That you'll be irrevocably diminished by this release? Or are you recognizing that you are in a crucial, albeit painful, process of shedding, of purification, a profound crucible of transformation that will ultimately make you lighter, freer, more expansive? Are you endlessly lamenting what's irrevocably lost? Or are you consciously, deliberately focusing on the invaluable wisdom gained, on the newfound lightness, and on the fertile ground that has now been cleared for new, vibrant growth, for something more authentic to emerge? Consider the profound wisdom of Buddhist philosophy, which emphasizes the liberating power of non-attachment, not detachment from life, but releasing the suffocating grip of grasping and aversion, understanding that suffering often arises from our desperate clinging to what is impermanent. This isn't a passive acceptance of your fate. It's an active, deliberate cultivation of an internal landscape where challenges, and especially the painful necessity of letting go, are seen as powerful catalysts for growth, and breakdowns are courageously recognized as breakthroughs in profound disguise. This radical shift in mindset, from a narrative of scarcity and lack to one of abundant potential and inherent strength, from a fear of emptiness to an embrace of newly created space, lays the absolute bedrock for cultivating an unshakable belief in your own boundless capacity for radical, transformative renewal. Belief in the context of letting go is not a naive optimism that everything will simply magically get better. It is a profound internal conviction, an unshakable, deep-seated knowing, an absolute certainty in your core that the act of releasing your grip, however painful, is a necessary and ultimately liberating step towards your highest good, and that your innate ability to navigate the subsequent void, to adapt to the unknown, and to create a more authentic, fulfilling life is vastly, immeasurably greater than any emptiness, any fear, or any sense of loss that accompanies the act of shedding. When you've experienced the seismic, shattering force of your old story, your old identity, or your previous comfort seemingly ending, when the familiar script has been abruptly and brutally torn away. Your old, comforting beliefs about security, about predictability, about your own capabilities, and perhaps even about your very identity, can be brutally shattered, leaving a profound void. This void, while initially terrifying, an empty space where certainty once resided, is also an unprecedented, sacred opportunity to courageously forge new beliefs. Beliefs that are deeply rooted in hard-won resilience, undeniable inner strength, and the boundless, untapped potential of the indomitable human spirit that has been tested and tempered in the fires of necessary release. Think of the legendary aviator Amelia Earhart. When faced with the technological limitations and societal skepticism of her era, she didn't cling to the familiar, safer modes of travel. Her belief in the possibility of flight, in pushing the boundaries of what was known, allowed her to release the conventional wisdom and bravely step into the unknown, facing incredible risks and setbacks. Her unwavering belief in her audacious vision, in the power of human ingenuity and courage, allowed her to perceive each failed attempt, each mechanical issue, not as a definitive end, but as crucial data, a stepping stone, another essential step closer to ultimately defying gravity and inspiring generations. She believed through the immense uncertainty and fear of the unknown, understanding it as a necessary part of revolutionary progress. For someone courageously emerging from the emotional wreckage and profound emptiness left by their story's abrupt interruption, cultivating this kind of radical, unshakable belief means actively, systematically, and relentlessly dismantling the limiting, often insidious narratives that attachment and fear meticulously construct within our minds. It means deliberately replacing the insidious whisper of "I will be less without this. I am defined by what I've lost" with the powerful, resonating, truth-filled declaration, "I am bravely, powerfully releasing, meticulously forging myself anew from the wisdom of my experiences, making space for something more authentic and expansive." It means consciously replacing the paralyzing fear and self-doubt of "I can't possibly navigate this void. The unknown is too terrifying" with the empowering, unwavering, truth-filled declaration, "I am capable of far more than I currently know, more than I've ever demonstrated, especially now that I have been tested, tempered, and refined in the crucible of letting go, now that I am lighter and freer." This isn't about conjuring a false, naive, or saccharine optimism, a superficial cheerfulness that denies the profound reality of your pain or the difficulty of release. It's about radical realism, a deeply honest, rigorously realistic assessment of your inherent inner resources, those latent strengths and untapped reserves that are often hidden, dormant, or unrecognized until crisis, with its brutal honesty, forces them to the brilliant, shining surface of your awareness. It's a deep, deeply personal commitment to your own limitless potential, a conscious, unwavering, and audacious decision to see yourself not as a permanent victim of circumstance, forever defined by what happened or what you've lost, but as a courageous survivor, an emerging thriver, an evolving, adaptable being capable of truly extraordinary acts of self-creation, resilience, and profound transformation. This cultivation of belief requires profound intentionality, a diligent, consistent, daily effort. It's like tending a sacred garden within your soul. You must assiduously water the tender seeds of hope and possibility, meticulously weed out the persistent, invasive doubts and fears that cling to the past, and compassionately prune away the narratives of despair that threaten to choke out new, vibrant growth. This might involve powerful, daily affirmations that reprogram your subconscious, vividly visualizing the freedom and potential that emerge from letting go with sensory richness, or deliberately immersing yourself in the inspiring, empowering stories of others who have courageously released their grip on the familiar and found profound liberation and new purpose, drawing strength from their journeys. Each small act of intentional belief sends a powerful, clear, and consistent signal to your subconscious mind, diligently rewiring your neural pathways and meticulously creating a fertile, receptive ground for genuine, profound, and lasting transformation. This unwavering belief in your inherent strength and your boundless capacity for radical renewal, even after profound release, then naturally, organically, and irresistibly paves the way for a newfound, illuminating clarity, particularly after the unsettling, disorienting act of letting go, doesn't typically descend upon us in a dazzling flash of divine inspiration, an instantaneous revelation that magically untangles all confusion and provides every answer. Like a sudden, blinding sunrise, instead, it often emerges slowly, sometimes painstakingly, like the gradual, deliberate lifting of a dense, suffocating fog, meticulously revealing the intricate contours of the landscape that the act of release initially obscured. When the narrative of your life is shattered, when the familiar script is abruptly torn away, when the ties you clung to are severed, the immediate aftermath is characterized by profound disorientation. The old maps are suddenly useless, the familiar landmarks have vanished, and the once clear, predictable path forward is now shrouded in an impenetrable mist, leaving you feeling utterly lost and adrift. But it is precisely in this state of radical uncertainty, this uncomfortable void left by the dismantling of familiar structures and outdated beliefs, that the deepest, most authentic, and most profoundly liberating clarity can be forged. Because when everything external falls away, when the overwhelming noise of societal expectation, external validation, and superficial pursuits is finally silenced, you are brutally, yet beautifully, forced to look inward, to confront what truly, deeply matters, stripped bare of all pretense, all masks, and all external pressures. This isn't about finding external answers, a magic bullet solution to your problems, a new object to cling to. It's about embarking on a courageous, often challenging, yet ultimately illuminating journey of profound self-discovery, unearthing fundamental internal truths that were always there, residing deep within your core, waiting to be acknowledged and embraced, now finally given space to breathe and surface. Think of the ancient Greek philosophers who pursued gnothe sioton, know thyself, as the ultimate quest. They understood that true wisdom, lasting contentment, and profound understanding of the world began with a rigorous, honest, and courageous inquiry into one's own inner landscape, recognizing that external chaos often mirrored internal confusion, and that true clarity emerged from profound self-knowledge, not from external acquisitions or fleeting pleasures. For those bravely rebuilding their stories from the profound disruption of perceived endings, this arduous, yet ultimately illuminating, journey to clarity begins with fearless, compassionate self-inquiry. What parts of your life, what chapters of your narrative, were you living out of sheer obligation, external pressure, a desperate need for approval, or a superficial pursuit of what others deemed successful, even if it quietly corroded your spirit? What comforting illusions did you cling to? What false narratives did you perpetuate, even when they silently depleted your authentic self? What core values, perhaps long dormant or unrecognized, have now been brutally, yet brilliantly brought to the forefront by your crucible experience of letting go, screaming for your attention, demanding to be seen and honored as your truest north? This self-assessment is not an exercise in harsh judgment, debilitating self-blame, or relentless self-criticism. It's an act of radical honesty, profound self-compassion, and unwavering acceptance of your human experience, acknowledging both your pain and your emerging strength. It's about bravely acknowledging the past, extracting its invaluable lessons with meticulous care, understanding how it shaped you, and then, with conscious intent and profound liberation, releasing the suffocating grip of what can no longer authentically serve you or your evolving future. Clarity after the act of letting go is often a powerful distillation, a profound purification of purpose, a refinement of your very essence. It's realizing that the superfluous, the inauthentic, the distracting, and the ultimately unfulfilling have been brutally, yet ultimately beneficially, stripped away, leaving only the essential, the authentic, the deeply resonant core of who you truly are, a powerful, unwavering foundation upon which to build anew. This newfound, Piercing clarity then acts as your unwavering internal compass, meticulously guiding you towards your authentic self, illuminating the true nature of your deepest strengths, and revealing the genuine, soul-aligned direction of your next magnificent chapters. It transforms vague, amorphous desires into concrete, compelling intentions, allowing you to vividly see the true nature of your inherent strengths and the authentic, magnetic direction of your evolving soul. This crystal-clear understanding of what you truly want, what truly matters, and what you are now truly capable of, even after profound disruption, naturally, organically, and irresistibly leads to the emergence of a powerful, compelling vision. A truly compelling vision, particularly one born from the deliberate act of letting go, is not a passive, ethereal daydream, a whimsical fantasy that merely flits through your mind in moments of idle escape, a fleeting thought to be easily dismissed. It is a vividly imagined, emotionally resonant, and profoundly compelling future, so richly detailed, so deeply felt, and so powerfully inspiring that it begins to exert an almost irresistible magnetic pull, drawing you inexorably forward. Even when the present feels overwhelmingly heavy, the path ahead seems daunting, or the insidious echoes of the past attempt to drag you back into their familiar shadows. When you've experienced the shattering force of your old story, your old identity, or your previous comfort seemingly ending, when the familiar script has been abruptly torn away, when the ties you clung to are severed, it can be incredibly difficult, almost impossible, to even conceive of a positive, fulfilling future, let alone visualize it with the precise, vibrant clarity required to bring it into being. The natural human tendency is to gaze backward, fixated on what was lost, endlessly replaying past events, or to stare paralyzed at the immediate wreckage, the present despair, feeling utterly without direction, paralyzed by the void. But this is precisely the moment when the courageous, audacious act of creating a new, compelling vision becomes most absolutely critical, most profoundly empowering, most vital for your ongoing transformation and healing. It's the intricate, architectural blueprint for your magnificently rebuilt life, drawn not from the haunting ruins of what was, but from the fertile, newly cleared, and enriched ground of your hard-won clarity, a ground now purified and strengthened by the invaluable lessons of adversity and the liberating act of release, capable of supporting something truly extraordinary and uniquely yours. Think of the visionary urban planners who, after devastating fires or catastrophic wars, didn't merely rebuild what was lost, didn't simply reconstruct the familiar, the mundane, the inadequate. They audaciously reimagined entire cities, creating spaces that were demonstrably more resilient, breathtakingly more beautiful, infinitely more functional, and profoundly more aligned with the evolving needs and aspirations of their people than anything that existed before. Their vision was a bold, audacious leap of faith, painstakingly translated into concrete, actionable plans, transforming destruction into unparalleled opportunity and a blueprint for a better future, born from the ashes, for those courageously constructing a new, vibrant future from the raw, unyielding foundation cleared by letting go. This new vision must be profoundly personal, exquisitely detailed, and deeply, emotionally resonant. It is emphatically not about what others expect of you, or what society dictates success should look like, or what external validation you might desperately crave in a moment of vulnerability. It's about what truly, authentically ignites your spirit. What kind of life, what kind of fully actualized, magnificent person you genuinely, deeply aspire to be. Now, armed with the profound wisdom, the piercing clarity, and the unyielding strength gleaned from your crucible experience of release, what does true well-being feel like for you? Now, with the profound understanding and emotional maturity gained from enduring profound pain and finding liberation through letting go, what kind of deeply nourishing, authentic, and supportive relationships do you meticulously cultivate? Those that truly uplift and sustain you and reflect your highest values. What unique, meaningful, and heartfelt contributions do you profoundly make to the world? Born from your unique journey and newfound empathy and wisdom, allowing your experiences to fuel your purpose. What kind of unshakable inner peace do you consistently cultivate, regardless of the ever-shifting, unpredictable external circumstances, creating an internal sanctuary that no external force can penetrate? Make this vision as breathtakingly specific and sensory as humanly possible. Don't just think it, feel it. Feel the emotional resonance, the surge of anticipation, the palpable sense of inner peace, the vibrant energy coursing through you. See it, vividly visualize the details, the colors, the expressions on faces, the light in your own eyes, the environment that surrounds you, the textures of your reimagined life. Hear it. The sounds of laughter, of productive, meaningful work, of serene silence, of deeply connected, authentic conversations, the symphony of your empowered existence. Taste it. The flavors of a life well lived, savored with profound gratitude and mindful presence. Every moment, a conscious choice, deeply appreciated. Smell it. The comforting aromas of home, of nature, of creative endeavor, of fresh possibilities, of blooming potential. The scent of a life fully realized. This vivid, immersive internal rehearsal, this consistent mental blueprinting creates a powerful, almost irresistible magnetic force, meticulously drawing opportunities, essential resources, and profound insights towards you, almost as if the universe itself is conspiring in your favor, aligning to bring your vision into magnificent being. It serves as a constant, unwavering reminder, a powerful internal compass of why you are courageously enduring the challenging, often emotionally exhausting work of recovery, why you are consistently choosing courage over comfort, and why your story not only deserves, but demands to be bravely, audaciously continued, magnificently and powerfully. This compelling, richly detailed vision, deeply rooted in your clarified values and authentic self, is what then gives rise to an unshakable, deeply felt purpose. Purpose, especially after the profound and often disorienting act of letting go, is not some esoteric, grand, elusive concept, an abstract idea reserved exclusively for saints, towering revolutionaries, or globally recognized philanthropists, a quest that only a select few are privileged to embark upon. It is, at its most fundamental, the intrinsic, animating drive that gives profound meaning and resonant direction to our very existence, the steady, unwavering flame that continues to burn brightly and reliably, even when the fiercest, most tumultuous winds of adversity howl, threatening to extinguish all light and hope, especially in the void left by release. When you face the devastating, disorienting force of your old story, your previous roles, or your assumed identity seemingly ending, when the old, comfortable narrative has been abruptly and brutally torn away, your old sense of purpose, often intricately tied to external achievements, societal roles, external validation, or superficial markers of success, may have been brutally shattered, leaving a gaping, aching void, a profound feeling of aimlessness, disconnection, and existential emptiness. But this very void, this uncomfortable, terrifying emptiness, paradoxically presents an unparalleled, sacred opportunity to discover a deeper, more profound, and ultimately more resilient purpose. One that resonates authentically with the very core of who you are, rather than who you were merely expected to be by others, or who you superficially pretended to be. A purpose born from your truest essence. It's about understanding, with piercing clarity, that your unique life, with all its inherent challenges, its moments of profound sorrow, its undeniable scars, and its ultimate triumphs, has inherent, unquantifiable meaning, and that your unique, hard-won experiences, particularly those born of adversity, and the brave act of letting go, uniquely equip you to make a profound difference in ways that no one else in this vast, interconnected world can. Think of individuals like Nelson Mandela, who, after 27 years of unimaginable imprisonment, an act of profound separation from his life and work, did not emerge bitter and broken, but rather transformed his suffering and his release into an even more powerful, unwavering purpose, leading his nation towards reconciliation and democracy, becoming a global symbol of forgiveness and profound resilience. His purpose wasn't diminished by his losses. It was forged and amplified in the crucible of his immense suffering and the eventual, liberating act of release, both his own and his nation's. For those courageously navigating the complex, often treacherous aftermath of trauma, profound loss, and the liberating act of letting go, discovering this deeply authentic purpose often involves a radical, empowering shift in inquiry, a profound reorientation of your internal compass, from the victim-oriented question, "Why did this happen to me?" to a more empowering, forward-looking, and purposeful contemplation. What now? How can I bravely, compassionately, and intentionally use this experience of release and renewal? How can my journey, with all its raw honesty and hard-won wisdom, illuminate a path for others, offering them hope and guidance through their own struggles, showing them the power of shedding? It's emphatically not about finding a reason for the trauma itself, which would be a denial of valid suffering and a dangerous rationalization of immense pain. It's about courageously finding profound, transformative meaning from it, extracting the invaluable lessons, transmuting pain into enduring wisdom, and transforming suffering into profound power and inspiration for yourself and for others. This could manifest as an unshakable commitment to helping others who have faced similar challenges, becoming a compassionate mentor, a powerful advocate, a beacon of hope and understanding in their darkest hours, extending the hand of empathy and shared experience. It might involve passionately advocating for a cause that has been brought to the forefront of your awareness by your experience of injustice or suffering, lending your powerful voice to the voiceless, bringing light to shadows. It could be pursuing a long-dormant creative passion as a profound act of self-expression, healing, and contribution, using your unique artistry to connect with others on a deeper, more resonant level, communicating truths beyond words. Or it might be as simple, yet revolutionary, as dedicating yourself to cultivating an unshakable inner peace and sharing that hard-won serenity and wisdom with your immediate circle, creating a ripple effect of calm, compassion, and positive influence, a quiet revolution of kindness and presence. Your purpose doesn't have to be monumental in the eyes of the world. It doesn't need to be globally recognized or publicly acclaimed. It simply needs to be authentic, deeply resonant, and profoundly meaningful to you, aligning with your core values and deepest desires, igniting your spirit from within. It's about aligning your daily actions, your conscious choices, and your deepest values, meticulously creating a life that feels inherently meaningful, profoundly purposeful, and deeply fulfilling, regardless of external validation or societal applause. This inherent sense of purpose, this unshakable understanding that your life has a clear direction, a profound significance, and an undeniable impact, even after letting go, then becomes the unwavering internal guide, the ultimate compass that empowers you to embrace the transformative power of discipline. Discipline, especially in the aftermath of a profound letting go, is often tragically misunderstood, particularly in our modern, comfort-seeking world, as a rigid, joyless adherence to austere rules, a cold, unfeeling self-denial, or a burdensome obligation, a form of self-punishment that deprives you of joy. But true discipline, on the winding, arduous, yet ultimately liberating path from the depths of rock bottom to profound, authentic renewal after shedding the old, is in fact an act of the most profound, most compassionate self-love, a meticulous, unwavering commitment to your own holistic well-being, sustained growth, and ultimate liberation. It's the quiet, often unseen, yet fiercely powerful choice to consistently show up for yourself, day after day, in countless, often microscopic ways, even when your emotional energy is utterly depleted, when your spirit feels heavy and burdened by the void left behind, and when the insidious siren song of old, unhealthy coping mechanisms, or the seductive comfort of stagnation beckons with tantalizing promises of ease and escape. It's the quiet, unyielding fortitude that meticulously transforms noble intentions into consistent, tangible action, one deliberate breath, one conscious choice, one small, intentional step at a time. Meticulously building momentum, think of the relentless, almost obsessive, yet deeply passionate training of an Olympic athlete. Their discipline isn't a form of punishment or deprivation. On the contrary, it is the meticulous, loving refinement of their craft, the unwavering dedication to their audacious vision, born from an unshakable, deeply felt belief in their ultimate goal and their own boundless potential. It is an act of deep reverence for their body, their mind, and their cherished dream, a profound commitment to self-actualization, a loving dedication to their becoming. For someone bravely rebuilding their story after profound disruption, loss, and the courageous act of letting go, discipline might look like a resolute commitment to a consistent, regulated sleep schedule to meticulously regulate a nervous system often thrown into chaos by trauma, restoring its natural rhythm and balance, creating a foundation of inner stability. It could mean showing up for difficult, emotionally raw therapy sessions, even when you feel utterly exposed, vulnerable, and exhausted. Understanding that vulnerability is a gateway to healing and true strength, a necessary unveiling. It might be dedicating a specific, non-negotiable time each day to mindfulness meditation, quiet contemplation, or journaling, even when your mind feels like a chaotic, swirling whirlwind of unbidden thoughts, seeking to find an anchor in the present moment, a still point in the turning world, a moment of profound presence. It could be as profoundly simple, yet revolutionary, as meticulously preparing nourishing meals for yourself when the temptation is to numb with unhealthy comfort foods, engaging in gentle, intentional movement even when lethargy pulls you down, or courageously setting clear, firm, and compassionate boundaries with individuals or situations that consistently deplete your precious energy, protecting your newly found peace and space. These aren't grand, heroic, publicly acclaimed gestures. They are, in truth, microscopic, yet profoundly powerful, acts of deliberate self-care, consistent, intentional choices that meticulously build resilience, patiently rewire neural pathways, and unequivocally reinforce your deep, unwavering commitment to your own healing journey and to the unfolding of your new narrative. A powerful declaration of self-worth. The insidious nature of trauma and loss is that it often fragments our focus, saps our willpower, and makes even the simplest, most vital tasks feel overwhelmingly monumental, leaving us adrift. But it's precisely at these moments, in the quiet, unassuming daily choices, that small, consistent acts of discipline become truly revolutionary. They send a powerful, unequivocal signal to your subconscious mind, to every cell in your body, that you are fiercely serious about your recovery, that you are actively, deliberately taking back control of your narrative, and that you are meticulously and intentionally building the extraordinary life you envision for yourself. One courageous, consistent action at a time, this dedicated, unwavering commitment to your own profound growth and well-being, born from the understanding that letting go makes space for true self-care, then inevitably, almost magnetically, leads to the transformative power of action. Action, that often intimidating, sometimes paralyzing word, is, paradoxically, the most potent, most liberating catalyst for profound transformation, particularly when you're building your new story from the raw, unyielding foundation cleared by letting go. We can dwell indefinitely in the quiet, contemplative spaces of reflection, in the meticulous planning stages, in the profound intellectual understanding of our past and present, but without courageously taking tangible steps, even infinitesimally small ones, we remain perpetually tethered to the past, tragically trapped in the suffocating gravitational pull of what was, forever mourning the lost chapters, unable to move forward, paralyzed by potential. The fear of action after profound setback, after deeply painful experiences, after the terrifying act of releasing something cherished, is palpable, almost visceral. We've been grievously hurt, perhaps deeply wounded, and the instinct is to recoil, to retreat into protective solitude, to avoid any situation or any vulnerability that might replicate that searing pain. But inaction, while seemingly offering a deceptive sense of safety, is its own insidious form of decay. A slow, agonizing surrender to stagnation, a quiet death of potential, a gradual erosion of your vibrant spirit, leaving you in a gilded cage of comfort, bound by your own fear. Think of the legendary pioneers of industry. Like Henry Ford, he didn't just conceptualize the revolutionary idea of the assembly line. He tirelessly worked, meticulously experimented, iterated countless times, and relentlessly refined his processes, translating his audacious vision into tangible production. Despite facing numerous setbacks, profound skepticism, and even outright ridicule, his actions, both grand and microscopic, meticulously built an entirely new era, forever changing the way the world worked and lived. A testament to the power of consistent, bold steps. For us, the brave authors rewriting our narratives after the liberating act of letting go. The action isn't always a grand, heroic leap of faith. It's rarely a sudden, dramatic pivot from profound, debilitating pain to a state of perfect, serene equanimity. More often, it's a quiet, persistent series of micro-actions, each one a tiny, hard-won victory against the overwhelming inertia of despair, a courageous push against the gravitational weight of the past, a gentle step forward into the void. It could be the profound courage required to reach out to a trusted friend or family member you've unconsciously isolated yourself from, even when your anxiety screams at you to stay hidden in the shadows, to remain in your self-imposed prison. It could be sending out just one resume, making just one phone call, completing just one small task on your to-do list, even when the omnipresent fear of rejection feels overwhelming and paralyzing. Recognizing that even a small step is progress. It could be the audacious act of signing up for a creative class you've always dreamed of, dedicating yourself to pursuing a long, dormant hobby that once brought you joy and meaning, or simply walking around the block for 10 minutes when every fiber of your being desperately wants to remain curled on the couch, shrouded in darkness. Understanding that movement itself is a form of healing. Each of these actions, no matter how insignificant they may feel in the moment, is a direct, powerful challenge to the paralyzing fear that trauma often instills within us. Each one is an unequivocal vote for your future self, a resounding declaration that you are not merely a survivor of what happened, but an active, empowered participant in your own magnificent evolution, a deliberate co-creator of your next chapter, moving forward with purpose and renewed energy. The profound beauty of taking action, even when you are utterly terrified, is that it intrinsically generates momentum. A body at rest tends to stay at rest, but a body in motion tends to stay in motion. The initial push, the first courageous step, is always the hardest, demanding the most raw courage, the deepest wells of resolve. But once you begin, once you taste the small, hard-won triumphs of forward movement, once you feel the subtle shift of momentum, the next step becomes a little less daunting, a little more accessible, a little more natural, almost an inevitable unfolding. It's about meticulously building a muscle, not just of physical strength, but of profound psychological courage, of unwavering emotional fortitude, of an undeniable, intrinsic sense of agency, an internal compass guiding you forward with increasing confidence. This isn't about forcing yourself into a state of relentless, unsustainable activity that leads to burnout. It's about discerning, with clarity and self-compassion, the right, most nourishing actions for your unique healing journey, and then committing to them with unwavering, disciplined resolve, honoring your own pace and needs. And as we begin to take these courageous, intentional steps, a powerful, unexpected side effect often emerges, one that seems utterly counterintuitive in the face of profound hardship and the void left by letting go, yet is deeply transformative, a profound, often overlooked, yet truly revolutionary gratitude. Gratitude, particularly when one is courageously emerging from the raw, desolate depths of rock bottom and the profound space left by letting go, can initially feel like an alien concept, a foreign language spoken by those untouched by true hardship, a privilege reserved for the fortunate and the untroubled. How? The wounded mind might reasonably ask, can one possibly be thankful when the world has seemingly conspired against them, when so much has been irrevocably lost? When pain remains an undeniable, constant companion, a heavy shadow on the soul, and the void looms large. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of profound, visceral difficulty, in the crucible of your most challenging experiences, that the consistent, deliberate practice of gratitude becomes most potent, most revolutionary, and most profoundly healing. A radical, defiant act against the pervasive narratives of deficit, scarcity, and unending sorrow that trauma and loss often attempt to impose, filling the emptiness with something vibrant and life-affirming. It is emphatically not about being thankful for the trauma itself. That would be a denial of valid suffering and a profoundly dismissive stance toward your own pain. Instead, it is about cultivating a profound, deliberate awareness of the small, resilient pockets of light that persist, that refuse to be extinguished, even in the deepest, most suffocating darkness, and then recognizing, with unshakable conviction, the unyielding strength that allowed you to perceive them, to notice their gentle flicker amidst the gloom, to actively seek out the glimmer of hope and acknowledge it. It's about recognizing the incredible, inherent resilience of the human spirit, your own magnificent spirit, and acknowledging the quiet, often overlooked, acts of kindness, compassion, and shared humanity that so often miraculously emerge in the wake of crisis, proving with undeniable clarity that light always exists, even in the deepest shadows. If you are willing to truly see, consider the ancient Stoic philosophers, like Seneca, who, amidst the often turbulent chaos and immense pressures of imperial life, maintained an unwavering focus on what they could control: their perceptions, their responses, and cultivated a deep, abiding appreciation for the simple, fundamental aspects of life. Understanding that true richness lay not in abundance, but in internal contentment, a profound gratitude for being, they vigorously encouraged a daily practice of reflecting on what could be demonstrably worse, and then cultivating a deep, abiding appreciation for what is, even in its imperfect, flawed, and often painful reality, thereby finding pockets of peace within chaos, cultivating an internal sanctuary that no external force could penetrate. For us, the brave authors rewriting our stories, this means actively, consciously, and relentlessly seeking out what remains, what has been unexpectedly gained through adversity, and the act of letting go, or what profound truths and hidden strengths have been brilliantly revealed through the refining fire of our experiences. It might mean being profoundly grateful for the simple, often taken for granted act of waking up each day, for the automatic rhythm of breath in your lungs, for a single, fleeting moment of unexpected peace in a chaotic world, for the unwavering support of a single, compassionate friend, for the inherent, undeniable resilience of your own physical body, for the lessons, however painful, that have forged you into a wiser, more empathetic, and more powerful being, now capable of deeper connection. It's a conscious, deliberate, and revolutionary shift in focus, away from the agonizing void of what was irrevocably lost, and towards the undeniable presence of what persists, what courageously thrives, and what has unexpectedly blossomed, even amidst the emotional rubble, like wildflowers growing through cracks in concrete. This isn't about wearing metaphorical rose-tinted glasses or denying the legitimate, searing pain. It's about a deeply realistic, holistic appraisal of reality that intentionally includes the good, the resilient, the beautiful, and the profoundly transformative, not just the broken or the shattered fragments. It's about diligently retraining your brain, rerouting your neural pathways, to instinctively seek out and register evidence of goodness, of strength, and of grace, thereby meticulously creating new, more expansive neural architecture that fosters deep well-being and profound inner peace, actively building new pathways for joy. The overwhelming body of scientific research on gratitude is unequivocally clear and robust. Consistent gratitude significantly improves mood, dramatically reduces stress, fosters greater, more robust resilience, and even demonstrably enhances physical health and longevity. This powerful practice is not a dismissal of your legitimate pain. It's a profound, courageous expansion of your capacity for joy, a deliberate broadening of your emotional spectrum, and an unshakable acknowledgement of the incredible, inherent strength that has miraculously carried you this far and will continue to carry you forward, one grateful breath at a time, transforming the very quality of your experience. When you actively, consistently seek out things to be profoundly grateful for, you begin, almost imperceptibly at first, to see life through a radically different lens, one that relentlessly reveals unexpected blessings, hidden opportunities, and resilient strengths, paving the way for profound, transformative adaptability. Adaptability, especially after the profound, disorienting act of letting go, is not merely a desirable trait, a helpful characteristic to possess in times of uncertainty, or a skill to be acquired at one's leisure. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable survival mechanism, an intrinsic capacity for graceful, effective change, and in the often turbulent aftermath of rock bottom, it becomes an absolutely essential, indispensable key to not only rebuilding, but to truly thriving, to flourishing in ways you never before imagined. Life, as we've so painfully, so viscerally learned, rarely, if ever, unfolds according to our meticulously crafted plans, our carefully drawn blueprints, or our most fervent desires for predictability and control. The very essence of hitting rock bottom, of experiencing the abrupt end of a chapter, of being forced to release what you held so dear, is an often violent, utterly disorienting departure from the predictable, a shattering of the familiar, a dismantling of the routines that once provided comfort and stability. The old maps you relied upon are suddenly useless. The familiar landmarks have vanished, and the once clear, predictable path forward is now shrouded in an impenetrable mist, leaving you feeling utterly lost and adrift, grappling with profound uncertainty and a terrifying void. In such a dramatically altered landscape, the rigid, the unyielding, the stubbornly inflexible are often the first to break, like a brittle branch snapped clean off in the violent force of a hurricane, unable to bend with the wind, utterly shattered by the unyielding force of change. But those who possess the inherent ability to pivot, who can shed outdated strategies and gracefully embrace new approaches, who can flow like water around insurmountable obstacles, are the ones who not only survive the initial shock, but find entirely new avenues for profound growth, unexpected opportunities, and a more authentic alignment with their true selves, becoming masters of their own evolving journey. Think of the majestic bamboo in a strong wind. It doesn't rigidly resist the relentless force, attempting to stand unmoving against an irresistible power. Instead, it gracefully bends, it sways, it flows with the powerful current of nature, demonstrating a profound, almost spiritual surrender to the forces beyond its control. And through this elegant, adaptable movement, it emerges unbroken, demonstrably stronger, and more deeply rooted for having danced with the very force that threatened to destroy it. A living testament to flexibility, our internal bamboos, our inherent capacity for profound adaptability, must be meticulously nurtured and deliberately strengthened after profound life disruption and the act of letting go. This means courageously letting go of the desperate, white-knuckled grip on how things should be, how your story should have unfolded, clinging to an idealized past, and instead, with radical realism and profound self-compassion, embracing the often uncomfortable, yet ultimately liberating, reality of how they are. It means remaining vibrantly open to new information, new ways of thinking, new paradigms, and even new, evolving identities that emerge from the crucible of your experience. Understanding that growth often demands a shedding of the old self, a transformation of your very being, a willing metamorphosis. The comforting, yet potentially suffocating, narrative of who I was can become a powerful prison if we cling to it too tightly, stubbornly preventing the emergence of who I am, powerfully becoming. In all my newfound strength and wisdom, in all my newfound freedom, adaptability courageously invites us into this transformative journey of continuous self-discovery, a journey that is both inherently challenging and profoundly liberating. This could mean adjusting long-held career paths that no longer serve your authentic purpose. Bravely reevaluating deeply ingrained relationship dynamics that drain your energy or no longer resonate with your evolved self, or even fundamentally shifting our ingrained definitions of success, happiness, or fulfillment, understanding that these are not static concepts, but evolving states of being. It demands a radical willingness to experiment, to tentatively try things that feel utterly unfamiliar or uncomfortable, to step outside the perceived boundaries of your comfort zone, and to learn with humble curiosity from both our hard-won successes and our inevitable missteps, knowing that every single outcome, positive or negative, holds an invaluable lesson, a crucial piece of the larger puzzle, a step towards mastery. It's the visionary entrepreneur who, after a product launch fails spectacularly, doesn't wallow in despair or abandon their dream, but instead meticulously analyzes the data, bravely pivots their strategy, and launches something even better, more refined, more resonant, knowing intuitively that iteration and adaptation are the undeniable path to true innovation and enduring success. A constant process of refinement. It's the wise parent who, after their children leave home, doesn't succumb to the debilitating emptiness of the empty nest, but instead finds new, profound purpose and meaning in their changed role, gracefully adapting to a new, exciting season of life, embracing its inherent possibilities and new avenues for contribution. The profound beauty of adaptability is that it is not about surrendering your core values or sacrificing your authentic identity. It's about finding new, more expansive expressions for them in a changed, ever-evolving world, understanding with piercing clarity that true growth often happens at the very edges of our comfort zone, precisely when we are bravely forced to stretch, to bend, and to profoundly evolve, becoming more expansive, more capable, more truly ourselves. This mental flexibility, this graceful, courageous surrender to the inevitable flow of life, even when that flow feels turbulent and unpredictable, creates the internal capacity for true, unshakable peace within chaos, a profound inner calm amidst the storm, and this constant, graceful evolution, this resilient dance with uncertainty, forms the very bedrock of true, enduring resilience. Resilience is not, as often mistakenly believed, the absence of struggle, the eradication of pain, or a magical immunity to life's inevitable hardships. On the contrary, it is the profound, unyielding capacity to recover from it, to bend deeply without breaking entirely, and to ultimately emerge from the crucible of adversity, not merely intact, but demonstrably stronger, infinitely wiser, and more deeply integrated, and whole than you were before the storm. It's the spiritual muscle that meticulously develops through repeated exertion, through the arduous, often painful, yet ultimately strengthening, lifting of heavy emotional weights, the crushing weights of grief, of profound disappointment, of paralyzing fear, and of deep-seated trauma, intensified by the void left by letting go. Rock bottom doesn't just test our inherent resilience, it often forces us to develop it in ways we never, in our wildest imaginings, thought possible, pushing us beyond perceived limits into realms of previously untapped strength and profound wisdom. Before the storm hit, before the unexpected interruption to your story, before the painful necessity of letting go, you might have been utterly unaware of your own innate fortitude, perhaps mistaking comfort and predictable stability for true, inherent strength. But when the very foundations of your life are violently shaken, when everything familiar, everything you clung to for security, is stripped away, you are brutally, yet beautifully, forced to dig deep, to tap into reserves of courage, inner power, and wisdom you didn't even know existed within you. Think of kintsugi, the ancient Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with lustrous gold lacquer. The profound philosophy behind kintsugi is that the breakage and subsequent repair are not something to be shamefully hidden or artfully concealed. Instead, they are an integral, beautiful part of the object's unique history, and the shimmering, golden seams actually make it more beautiful, more valuable, and more uniquely whole than it was before it was broken, a testament to its endurance, its story of transformation. We are, in essence, kintsugi vessels, our scars not grotesque marks of weakness or indelible proof of brokenness, but luminous, shimmering badges of honor, tangible, undeniable testaments to our incredible, inherent ability to mend, to transform, and to become something even more profound, more exquisitely unique. Our cracks, once hidden and feared, become visible, undeniable proof of our boundless capacity to heal, to integrate, and to rise, illuminating our strength and the beauty of our journey. Building resilience is an ongoing, dynamic process, not a one-time achievement, a fixed destination, or a static state of being. It involves a conscious, unwavering, and deeply compassionate commitment to meticulous self-care, to diligently nurturing our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being with compassionate discipline, day in and day out. It means understanding with crystal clarity that there will be good days and bad days, that healing is not a linear progression, but a complex, winding path with inevitable ebbs and flows, and that setbacks are not catastrophic failures, but simply invaluable opportunities for recalibration, for deeper introspection, and for profound, experiential learning, chances to adjust and grow. It's about diligently cultivating a robust internal support system, a relentless, unwavering network of positive self-talk, empowering affirmations, and radical self-compassion that can powerfully counteract the inevitable moments of self-doubt, debilitating fear, and crushing despair that will undoubtedly arise. It also, crucially and fundamentally, involves courageous external support, the profound courage to lean on others, to humbly ask for help when needed, to diligently seek professional guidance from skilled therapists or counselors, and to graciously allow ourselves to be vulnerable, imperfect, and human in the presence of those who genuinely care and hold space for our process. This isn't weakness. It is, in fact, profound, undeniable strength, recognizing that we are interconnected beings, that our healing is often a communal endeavor, and that true power resides in collaboration, not isolation. The lone wolf might appear powerful in romanticized fiction, but in the brutal reality of survival, the pack thrives and endures through mutual aid, shared burdens, and collective strength. Resilience is also deeply and intrinsically tied to our unyielding ability to meticulously extract the invaluable wisdom from the wreckage of our past, to learn every possible lesson from our experiences, however painful or traumatic they may have been. It's about understanding that every challenge, every single adversity, however daunting, every moment of letting go carries within it a seed of invaluable knowledge, a profound, transformative lesson waiting to be uncovered, acknowledged, and integrated into the very fabric of our evolving being. This conscious, deliberate extraction of wisdom from adversity meticulously transforms mere survival into true thrival, preparing us not just for the next challenge, but for a lifelong, exhilarating journey of continuous learning, especially after the profound and often disorienting experience of letting go, is not a passive reception of information, a mere intellectual exercise of absorbing facts and figures from a textbook or a lecture. It is an active, iterative, profoundly dynamic process of absorption, meticulous reflection, deep integration, and courageous application that continuously fuels our evolution, propelling us forward into ever-expanding realms of self-awareness, personal mastery, and compassionate understanding. When we face the profound, destabilizing force of rock bottom, when our carefully constructed worlds have crumbled, and we have bravely released our grip, the world itself presents itself as an unforgiving, yet profoundly illuminating classroom, filled with unexpected, often brutal, yet ultimately invaluable lessons about ourselves, about the intricate complexities of humanity, and about the fundamental nature of existence itself. The immediate, instinctual temptation might be to shut down, to retreat into the safe, familiar confines of what was, to avoid confronting the very experiences that caused so much searing pain, to simply bury the traumatic memories deep within the subconscious, hoping they will disappear, avoiding the wisdom they hold. But true healing, genuine, sustainable growth, and authentic liberation requires us to become diligent, humble, and fiercely curious students of our own lives, embracing every experience, every outcome, every emotion as a potential teacher, a vital piece of the puzzle of our becoming. It means courageously asking, with genuine, compassionate curiosity, what did this experience truly teach me about myself, about my deeply held beliefs, about my boundaries, about my true, core priorities, about the nature of relationships, about others, about the world? What new, previously undiscovered strengths, what dormant capacities have I bravely discovered within myself that I never knew I possessed before this crucible moment of release and rebirth? It's in the careful, compassionate examination of our automatic reactions, our ingrained coping mechanisms, our previously held illusions, and our emerging insights that the deepest, most potent, and most transformative wisdom is meticulously gleaned, like precious gems from the earth, unearthed through persistent effort and an unwavering commitment to self-discovery. Now that space has been cleared, think of groundbreaking scientists like Dr. George Washington Carver, who, despite immense societal obstacles and limited resources, relentlessly pursued knowledge through diligent observation, experimentation, and humble learning from nature itself. He didn't just accept what was given, he constantly sought to understand, to innovate, to find new applications for old ideas, transforming the landscape of agriculture through continuous, adaptive learning and a profound reverence for the wisdom of the earth. His life was a testament to the power of asking, what if, and persistently seeking answers, no matter how many times a hypothesis proved incorrect. For those of us on a committed, courageous path of trauma, recovery, and profound personal growth through letting go, learning isn't just about accumulating intellectual facts or superficially intellectualizing our pain, attempting to understand it away or rationalize its existence. It's about internalizing profound, life-altering truths about the human condition and our own incredible, boundless capacity for radical transformation and healing. It could involve formally educating ourselves on the neuroscience of trauma, gaining a deep understanding of how our brains and bodies respond to stress, which can profoundly normalize our experience and empower us with genuine agency and informed choice, demystifying the complex biological responses to overwhelming events and providing a roadmap for healing. It could be diligently learning new, healthier coping skills, mastering new communication strategies for more authentic, fulfilling relationships, or discovering new, gentle, yet powerful ways of regulating our often dysregulated nervous systems, bringing them back into a state of balance and peace through intentional practice. It could also be the profound, informal learning that comes from simply observing our own patterns, recognizing the triggers that lead to old, unhelpful reactions, and compassionately understanding the ingrained narratives we've constructed about ourselves over a lifetime. And then, courageously choosing to rewrite them, chapter by magnificent chapter, reclaiming our authorship and defining our own future, now free from the old scripts. This isn't about blaming ourselves for past struggles or perceived shortcomings, which only perpetuates the cycle of pain and self-criticism. It's about taking radical, empowering ownership of our present and our boundless future capacity for profound growth and self-mastery, understanding that every lesson, however painful, is a step towards liberation every single day. With every conscious breath, every intentional moment of reflection, we have the profound opportunity to learn something new about ourselves, about our perceived limits, which are often self-imposed illusions, and about our infinite, untapped potential, discovering inner reservoirs of strength and wisdom. This continuous, lifelong learning, this humble, courageous acceptance that we are always evolving, always in a dynamic state of becoming, creates an exquisitely fertile ground for deeper self-awareness, profound personal empowerment, and lays the unwavering groundwork for finally, truly, and joyfully beginning again to begin again after the profound, often agonizing, yet ultimately liberating act of letting go is not to erase the past, to wish away the scars, or to pretend that the pain, the loss, the trauma never existed, as if by sheer will you can rewrite history and make everything pristine, untouched by hardship. On the contrary, it is a profound, courageous act of deep integration, a conscious, deliberate decision to carry the invaluable lessons learned forward without being permanently defined, tragically limited, or perpetually burdened by the shadows of the past. It's a powerful, almost sacred act of conscious creation, a bold, resounding declaration that despite the torrential storms you've weathered, the rocky ground you've hit, the devastating wreckage you've bravely navigated, and the difficult void you've endured, your magnificent story is still passionately unfolding, and you, now infinitely wiser, undeniably stronger, and profoundly more compassionate, are the unwavering, empowered author of its next magnificent, unwritten chapters. This isn't about reaching some mythical, unattainable destination where all pain miraculously vanishes, where all challenges cease to exist, where life becomes effortlessly perfect, a state of perpetual bliss. It's about courageously accepting that healing is a dynamic, fluid, non-linear process, a lifelong journey of continuous growth, profound integration, and ongoing, exhilarating transformation, a dance between past and present. Think of the mythical phoenix, rising majestically from the ashes, not as a creature that conveniently forgets its fiery past, for that would be a denial of its very essence, but as one that profoundly uses the very remnants of its destruction to fuel its glorious rebirth. Its new, powerful wings formed from the luminous essence of what was, from the lessons learned in the fire, from the strength forged in the heat, radiating with newfound brilliance, the wisdom gathered from moments of profound despair, the unshakable strength forged in the crucible of loss, the crystalline clarity discovered in the brutal yet liberating absence of illusions. These become the foundational, indestructible elements of your new beginning, the very building blocks of a more authentic, more resilient, and ultimately, a more deeply meaningful and purpose-filled life, a life built on solid ground, uniquely informed by your journey. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need to possess all the answers, nor do you need to command an unwavering, indomitable sense of courage every single moment of every single day. You simply need to be willing to take one small, intentional, courageous step, then another, even when your knees tremble, when doubt whispers its insidious lies, and when the path ahead seems shrouded in uncertainty. This beginning is not a singular, monumental event, a sudden, dramatic shift. It's a profound, organic process, a series of conscious, compassionate, and courageous choices made day after day, sometimes hour after hour, sometimes minute after minute, in the quiet solitude of your own heart. It's the unwavering choice to believe in your own inherent, limitless capacity for radical renewal, even when doubt whispers its insidious lies, attempting to pull you back into the familiar, suffocating shadows of the past. It's the profound choice to extend radical, unwavering compassion to yourself, recognizing with piercing clarity that healing is not linear, that setbacks are simply an intrinsic part of the journey, not signals of failure, and that your humanity, in all its messy, glorious complexity, includes both profound triumph and exquisite vulnerability, a beautiful tapestry of experience that makes you uniquely whole. It's the courageous, audacious choice to define your own meaning, to painstakingly build a life that is authentically aligned with who you are now, in this moment of profound transformation. Not who you were before the storm, not who you were expected to be by others, but the real, raw, powerful, and magnificent you that has bravely emerged from the depths, tempered and refined by the very act of letting go, ready to embrace the fullness of your being. Your scars are not signs of weakness or indelible proof of brokenness. They are luminous, shimmering badges of honor, tangible, undeniable testaments to the profound battles you have fought, the immense pain you have bravely endured, and the glorious victories you have hard-won and profoundly survived. They are constant, powerful reminders of your incredible, boundless capacity to endure, to adapt, to integrate, and to ultimately thrive beyond anything you ever thought possible, beyond anything you were told was possible, demonstrating your innate, formidable strength and the transformative power of your journey. The world, in its vast, intricate tapestry, is waiting with bated breath for your unique contribution, for the profound wisdom born of your singular, arduous journey, and for the unyielding, unshakable strength you have meticulously cultivated in the deepest valleys of your experience. You are not broken. You are bravely, beautifully, and powerfully becoming, day by exhilarating day, and your greatest story, the one born from the very depths of your trials and tribulations, is waiting, patiently and eagerly, to be written, one courageous, intentional act at a time, each word a testament to your redefined resilience and the profound, liberating power of letting go to grow. The time for waiting for perfection is unequivocally over. The time for living, for creating, for truly beginning is powerfully, unequivocally, vibrantly now.